Welcome to the Digital Marketing Insights podcast, brought to you by Brightside Digital.
Hi everyone, welcome to the show. I'm delighted to say today we have Lucie with us, who's the team lead of the online marketing team at Siemens. Lucie, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Lucie, can you first tell our audience a little bit about yourself, please?
Sure, yeah. So I'm the team lead of the online marketing web content team here in Siemens as a part of global marketing services team. So this is my current role. And so the first kind of touch point with digital marketing I had, or how my path started, was at Trinity actually, where I did my so my master's in digital marketing strategy. Before that, I did my bachelor's in international business. So I kind of swapped the area in which I was focused on. And then, so after I did my master's, I went on to work as a digital marketing exec for Mountain Productions. So there, I got to work on a lot of different projects related to digital marketing. It was a rather small company; it wasn't big corporate, so I was working in a smaller marketing team. So thanks to that, I also got to work on a lot of different areas, on a lot of different projects. I worked on social, organic, paid, email marketing. I did quite a bit of copywriting as well myself. And then I also worked a little bit on PR as well there. So after that, I joined Siemens, as you already mentioned, and here I'm working as a team lead in this online marketing team or digital marketing team. We're about 7 or 8 people at the moment, including myself. So we do also web content creation, and I'm mainly focused on social media here as well. So what I am mostly doing is social media paid projects at the moment.
Brilliant. And so what you mentioned social media there as well. Would that be your main strength in digital marketing overall?
Yeah, so I would think so because that's what I've been mostly focused on, and what I'm also interested in very much. So yeah, I think that would be the area where I feel most confident and where I can say that I really can say a few things about that.
Brilliant. And obviously you run a big global brand at the moment. What's the positives and the challenges you have in running such big social media accounts?
Yeah, so I think the positives are that you have a lot of interesting and people who are real experts in their field as well. So you have a lot of people around you from whom you can learn, and you can consult them if you're having any issues, or if you're unsure about something. So you have that kind of background of a big company where you can really talk to people and get things sorted, whereas if you're in a smaller company, you usually have to do a lot of things on your own, and you don't really have that many people to go to if you need an advice or something. So that is one big advantage, I think, of working in a bigger company. I think you also get to work on a lot of different projects, because if you're in a smaller company and I was doing everything in house, there you kind of have like it's a niche area in which you work, whereas with bigger company you have more areas in which you can go, which can be both exciting, but at the same time it can pose you some challenges as well, because you have to really look into the audiences if you're targeting, because they could be quite different at times, and there you have to really think about if you're using the right tone of voice, if you're targeting the right people and that kind of stuff. So that could be also a challenge as well.
And what is your tips for anyone that does run successful social media accounts? What do you believe is the biggest successes, and maybe even make it specific to a particular platform?
Yeah, so I think what is really important is understand your audience, because you can really, you never know how successful the campaign is going to be until you actually launch the campaign and you run it for a while. So you cannot really predict that. But what is, I think, really important is to look into your audience and to see, if you're using the right tone of voice, if you really understand your audiences, if your audience is actually using the channels that you're using for your targeting for your campaigns. You may be using different social, some social media platforms, but your audience could be actually more active on another one, where your campaign could be actually more successful if you ran it there. So yeah, I think all these kind of things is really important to take into account, because you might be thinking that you're doing a great campaign, but then you're not really listening to your audience, and you're really not following what they're interested in.
Really well said. And do you have any kind of forms of content that you think work really well at the moment? Let's say, mid 2022, the summer of 2022. Is there anything that you're looking at and you're thinking, oh, this is working really well at the moment?
So generally speaking, I think video works better than image. So it's more engaging also with platforms like TikTok or Instagram, even though Instagram was primarily like picture based platform. I think the video is kind of picking up, and it's more engaging for people. People are usually more getting engaged with your content if it's, when it's video, when it's like not just still image on in your ads. So that's something I think is really important to also follow that pattern.
Really well said. And is there any softwares that you use that you swear by that are essential for your kind of day to day work?
Yeah, so one tool that I'm using quite often, or like really almost every day, and I think it's a really powerful one, is Sprinkler. It's kind of similar to Hootsuite, and what it does, it allows you, in case you don't know it, it allows you to manage like different social media from one place basically. So you don't have to go into Facebook Ads Manager to manage your Facebook and Instagram ads, or to your LinkedIn ads manager, Twitter, and so on. You can do it everything from one place. So if you have like your social media accounts connected to Sprinkler, you can manage it from there, and I think that's a great advantage. I mean, to be honest with you, I have love-hate relationship with Sprinkler, because it's a great platform. It's a really powerful one, but at the same time it is very complex, and it's easy to get some errors there, and to kind of like sometimes something is not working even though it should be working, and then you have to really look into it and see why is it not working. And also some things you cannot really do directly in Sprinkler, which would be possible, let's say, to in Facebook Ads Manager, and there you would do it within a couple of minutes, but in Sprinkler it might be more difficult. So yeah, it doesn't allow you to do, I would say, 100% of everything you would possibly want to do, but it is a great help, and it's something I think is really helpful, especially if you manage more accounts or bigger accounts. If you're, manage just a few, then I suppose you may not be needing this tool. But for me, it's a really great help.
As well as Sprinkler, is there any other ones that helps manage your team and your time that you use?
Other tools. So our team is also using AM, Adobe Experience Manager, but that's not for social. That's more for web content creation. So that's another tool that I think is very powerful and helpful in that area, but it's not really like social media related.
Well said. And is there anything that you're interested in improving or upskilling in Lucy in the coming months?
Right. So what I'm really interested in is artificial intelligence, and like the topic of artificial intelligence, because I think it's a like big topic at the moment, and it's something that affects a lot of different areas of business, marketing including, and the way we are working at the moment could be completely different in 10 or 20 years, thanks to AI. So I think this is something that we should focus on, and kind of follow the development there, and see how this is evolving, how it is changing, because already a lot of processes of the bigger players like Google and Facebook, they are already somewhat automated, and so the work that you do with Facebook or Google is somewhat different than it was a couple of years ago. A lot of the job is done for you at the moment when you're building up your ads and so on. So I think with AI in place, it will be even more different in the future.
Really well said. And looking at the digital industry as a whole, is there anything that you find really exciting that might apply to socials in particular as well?
Yeah, so social media is always changing. We had TikTok coming into play a couple of years ago, and I think also people are changing the way how they're using social media. All the time. Like this is an area of business that is changing rapidly and changing all the time. So staying on top of those developments is, I think, kind of important because the ad formats can change. What the features that, I don't know, Facebook, Instagram, other platforms are bringing in, they can also change, and kind of focusing on the formats that work best with your audiences can also change over time. So it's kind of, I think it's important to stay on top of that.
Brilliant. Really well said. And lastly, on the show, Lucy, we always ask the same question, which is if you could bottle up one personality trait that you have that you could pass on to others, what would it be?
So I think that's a very difficult question. But one personal trait I admire in myself, and I think I have, is patience, because I think I'm quite a patient person, and I think it's kind of important, especially with the campaigns, because, as I said, you can never know how the campaign is going to perform before it actually launches. It can be a great success. It can not be such great success. So having the patience to really find the right way to communicate with your audiences, especially if you're targeting new audiences, uh, just take the time to really understand them, find the right tone of voice, the right messaging, and wait for the results to come into fruition. That's, I think, quite important. So yeah.
That's it. Thank you so much for being on the show, Lucy. I'm sure loads of people will be asking you for advice after this, but I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for being on the show and speaking with me today.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, Tom.
Thank you.